Yo, 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 this is Lee Laurent, and as always, we rocking with all Urban Central. And today, I'm coming to you live with some new updates as it pertains to Tory Lanez's case. As you know, we just reported Tory Lanez was almost brutally killed as he was stabbed 14 times while imprisoned in the prison yard, and he was rushed to the nearby hospital. A new shocking update has arisen as it appears that Kelsey Harris, who is also Megan Thee Stallion's former best friend, who was there during the night of the shooting with her and Tory Lanez's case. It appears that her bodyguard and driver, Bradley James, has came to the surface. Apparently, Bradley James, who was in attendance as the driver during that incident, has new information surrounding the case, where he is now saying that it was not Tory Lanez who shot Megan. Apparently, it was his previous employer, Kelsey Harris, who obviously a lot of people were insinuating did it initially. So today there was a press conference held by Tory Lanez's legal team for an organization called Unite the People, who fight social injustices, where the head of the organization, Walter Roberts, talks more about the new developments in the case.
Not long ago, Unite the People was approached by a gentleman named Bradley James. Mr. James informed us he was working as the bodyguard and driver for Ms. Kelsey Harris during Mr. Peterson's trial. As such, he was in close proximity and he had privy to conversations she was having with her husband and others. Mr. James informed us he was not under a non-disclosure agreement or a confidentiality agreement and was free to speak with Unite the People, and that he was doing it because his conscience would not let him not speak and leave a man in prison for something he did not do. Mr. James informed Unite the People that he was a witness to the conversation Ms. Harris had, where she stated she had the gun, she fired it 3 times, Mr. Peterson grabbed her arm and knocked it down, and the gun fired 2 more times. In essence, Mr. Peterson never shot anybody, never even touched that gun, never fired the gun. This statement aligns with the statement of the only non-party witness to the case, Mr. Sean Kelly, who at trial testified he saw 2 women fighting, 2 men break up the fight, 1 man grabbed the other one's arm. Gunshots came from the passenger side. Passenger side is where Ms. Harris was sitting. This further iterates that Mr. Peterson did not shoot Ms. Pete, did not shoot at Ms. Pete, or did not assault Ms. Pete. It's just another irregularity in a list of irregularities in this case. For example, there were 3 potential suspects in the car that night, and yet the only DNA sample was taken of Mr. Peterson, even though unknown DNA was found on the gun. Why wasn't Ms. Harris's DNA taken? Or was it taken and the information simply never given to the defense? Why wasn't the driver of the car, Mr. Jaquan Smith's DNA taken? Or was it taken and again, simply not given to the defense?
So if you guys don't recall, Bradley James was subpoenaed. I do believe he fled. He completely vanished off the face of the earth. And apparently, due to recent developments, obviously Tory Lanez almost getting unalived in prison, where he suffered from 14 stabs, which could have fatally injured him. Obviously, we reported about his lungs initially collapsing, and now he is breathing on his own. But apparently, Bradley James, the former bodyguard and driver, said his conscience could not bear without him telling the truth. He was witness to seeing Kelsey shoot at Megan Thee Stallion, and Tory Lanez sort of like took the gun away from her and then the gun fell, and then it shot 2 more times, which completely differs from the prosecution claims as well as Megan's claims, where Tory Lanez shot at her and told her to dance B, right? But obviously, with this new evidence, they're asking for not a retrial, but they're actually asking for a pardon. Now, while this evidence may come as a revelation to many, I personally was not shocked. I do believe that when this actually happened, my initial theory that I had was that Kelsey was the shooter, just because Kelsey was granted immunity. So obviously getting immunity, you won't go to prison for any crime. And I do believe that if she wasn't the shooter, then why ask for immunity, and also why grant it? So Kelsey had immunity in the trial, and even during her testifying, she stood on the stand and she kept saying how she didn't remember anything. But obviously, if it got out that Kelsey was the shooter and Megan didn't follow up with obviously trying to clap back or get her back, it would ruin her street cred. And even though Megan is not a gangster rapper, she's still a rapper in urban hip hop, and that's just the way it goes. So I felt like her getting immunity not only saved her life, obviously, in her freedom, but it also saved and spared Megan's, career. So obviously there's always been this sort of conspiracy theory that Roc Nation orchestrated all of this. Obviously Jay-Z tried to sign Tory Lanez to Roc Nation. He declined. He's independent. And also, if you haven't noticed, in this case, Megan Thee Stallion was represented by Jay-Z's personal lawyer, Alex Sparrow. So Alex Sparrow is the one who worked on the prosecution against Tory Lanez in this case. And after watching this video, I believe that maybe there is something bigger to this case.
Events raised disturbing questions to me, and I think they all should to you as well. After over 2 years in prison without incident, Tory was stabbed 14 times just days after a major national news outlet reached out to Megan Pete's team, Kelsey Harris, and former DA George Gascon about a story on new evidence in this case. You don't have to believe in conspiracies to see the pattern. When evidence was about to come to light, Tory was nearly killed. So let's stop pretending this is complicated. Let's stop treating this like some cultural war flash. The timing of Flashpoint. This is about a man, a father, a son, Daystar Peterson, who has sat in a prison cell for over a year based on a case that wouldn't pass the smell test in any honest courtroom. The prison system can no longer guarantee his safety, and that alone should be grounds for immediate action. But combine that with the overwhelming evidence of a botched investigation, and this becomes not just a legal issue, but a morale emergency. Tory Lanez deserves a new trial. He deserves due process. He deserves a pardon.
I'm really hoping that Tory Lanez can get pardoned, especially if he's not guilty of shooting Megan Thee Stallion and this is just a cover-up. Obviously, the new evidence that is now brought to light supports a witness statement that was not on the prosecution or on the defense team. So it seamlessly aligns up with the number of gunshots. And we all know that Tory Lanez is a great artist. And if I'm being quite honest, Tory Lanez is a bigger artist than Megan Thee Stallion, even while in prison. It definitely appears that his streaming numbers are much higher, and as we know, he is independent, so he's receiving full monies allotted to him for all the streams and downloads to his music, whereas Megan Thee Stallion is in a deal with Roc Nation. And even with the Bodyguard coming forward, obviously Kelsey Harris, who was granted immunity, will not go to jail. But if we can just recall everything that Megan was saying, there were so many lies and inconsistencies.
Like I'm lying. Oh, she stepped on glass. She never got shot. I'm the one who said I stepped on glass. I was mine to protect all of us. 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 I was mine to protect all of us.
I ain't get cut by no glass, man. I ain't get cut by no glass.
Ever said she got shot. Nobody has ever said she got shot. Not TMZ, not the police report at this point. Nothing is saying that she got shot.
It's just too many inconsistencies. And then there's lies, and then there's admitting to lies. And we just want to make sure that Tory Lanez is safe, especially if he's actually innocent and he didn't commit any type of shooting. It definitely appears as the new evidence was provided by Bradley James. Obviously, he was going to go to the media with this information to clear his conscience and to obviously free Tory. The same evidence was provided to Megan's legal team as well as Kelsey's. And it just seems a little coincidental, as she mentioned, that this stabbing occurred like literally right before this information was put into public. And obviously, after Megan Thee Stallion had released the documentary, it definitely seemed like there was a tad bit of gaslighting and a whole sympathy campaign. It's so good to see that Tory Lanez have the support of his peers. It's even better to see that he has the support of his fans and those who are on the side of justice. Apparently, with the new given evidence, Tory Lanez have posted on his X account a new petition for his pardon. And just as we checked, it has over 71,000 signatures signed to have Tory Lanez pardoned. In the pardon, it does bring up some key elements that people need to know to make a stronger decision on why they should get him pardoned. One of them is that he definitely did not have any DNA trace on the magazine of the firearm. Also, although there was gun residue on both Tory Lanez and Kelsey Harris' hands, apparently only Tory Lanez was tested. And last but not least, there were eyewitness accounts that the prosecution definitely ignored and suppressed, which contradicted Megan Thee Stallion's initial claims that he shot her. So if you do believe that Tory Lanez is innocent, feel free to sign a petition to get Tory Lanez pardoned on change.org so we can avoid seeing another black man going to jail for something that he didn't do. But obviously, with the recent events of Daystar, aka Tory Lanez, getting stabbed, as well as the new evidence that came to light, in addition to the previous verdict, we have to ask, what do you guys think?